Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. So for today's video I have something a little different. So for those of you who may not know, I am a single parent to a 4-year-old girl. I'm in my 30s I live in Canada. Right now we are under our 18th millionth stay-at-home order, with many things being closed, and in a stressful time that this has been for everyone, but including myself, have been very stressed out, and cooking has been a great outlet for me. I love cooking and baking. I cannot draw or paint in any way. That's just not really my thing. And cooking and baking have been my creative outlet. I find it very peaceful when I can do it correctly, because I do have a daughter and I am a single parent, so she's here all the time. But when I can do it peacefully, I do find it very calming for myself. I love cookbooks. I always have loved cookbooks, and I love trying new recipes. I'm always trying new ones. There was a cooking show out, I don't remember how many years ago. It's been off the air for a couple years, at least here in Canada, and they would try different cookbooks, and I loved it. I love getting new cookbooks. I love getting the actual book, like an actual book. But sometimes I have in the past definitely bought different cookbooks. I thought it was a good idea, but then you get it and the recipes aren't that good, or you only try one or two of them, and it's kind of a waste of space and a waste of money. And some of these can be quite expensive, upwards of $30. And so spending $30 for a cookbook where you only like one or two recipes isn't the greatest deal. Definitely, especially when the pandemic first started, I started becoming more simplistic and wanting to more streamline my life, and so started going through all my cookbooks and the cookbooks I have, and really trying to see the ones that I really think are valuable. I do still buy new ones all the time, but I know for a lot of people, sometimes you just don't have the money to do that, but you want a good cookbook. So I thought I would do a few cookbook reviews for books that I have and have been trying and like, and who I think that they are good for. So the first book I'm going to do is Jenna Rae, Cakes and Sweet Treats. I love the book. Definitely the outside cover definitely got me, because it is beautiful. It has a whole bunch of sweet little treats, which I like, small little things. As much as I do like making cakes, and I do still make cakes, and I like them to be, I try and push myself all the time. At the same time, I live alone. It is just me and my daughter. My daughter's the pickiest eater in the world, and so I don't make cakes that often, because then I have to eat an entire cake, and the small little treats are easier for me to give away, to share with other people. I do bring treats to my mother all the time, because she's pretty much the only one that I can go see, given the stay-at-home order we are under in right now. So this book definitely spoke to me. I tried a few things from it. One of the things, they have a bunch of different sections in the book, and they have these sandwiches, these cookie sandwiches. They have different versions of basically the same thing. So one of the first versions of the cookie sandwich is a chocolate chip cookie sandwich. So this is vanilla buttercream on the center, and then chocolate chip cookies, just regular chocolate chip cookies. I also tried their vanilla sprinkle sandwich cookie, and it was fantastic. The vanilla sprinkle cookie sandwich was definitely better for me personally. I personally have a problem where I make the cookies too big, so timing is always off. It'll say 5 minutes in the book, but it's like 5 minutes for like and my cookies are like this big. So something that I am working on. Definitely, I definitely made them a little smaller, so I was able to actually stick to the cooking time. So cooking times can be a little off, but that also depends on your oven. So tip number one is to know your oven. My oven is really weird, and I've been really figuring out the right timing for things. So just because it says 5 minutes in a book, if your oven doesn't get very hot, for example, like let's say your oven is just not very strong and it says it's at 350, but it's not really at 350, it can take longer. It's also if your oven is on an angle. For some people, sometimes your floor can be on a slight angle, so your cookie sheet is actually, instead of being straight, it's actually slightly crooked. So you want to rotate your cookie sheet halfway through. So knowing that kind of stuff with your oven is very important with baking specifically. I feel like with cooking you can get away with a lot more, especially if you're just putting it in an oven, as opposed to baking. It's more exact. So you always want to keep that in mind. One thing I do like about the book is that they have similar profiles, like flavor profiles, just in different forms. So like they have a whole cookie sandwich section, and it has a cotton candy one, and then there's a cotton candy bar, and there's a cotton, like there's many different versions of the same flavor profile. The reason I like that is because if you wanted to do a party with a particular theme, so like for example, let's say I wanted to do a cotton candy flavor birthday theme party for my daughter, they have a bunch of different versions of cotton candy flavored things in this book. So I think that is very helpful. It does have one second, trying to find it. So one thing I do like about it is that it has more simple things and it has more complex things. So I do think that this cookbook is great for medium, intermediate bakers. So if you are a beginner, this might seem a little overwhelming to you, but it really is very easy. They have a lot of step-by-steps. So a lot of the recipes, like for example, Naomi cupcakes, I'm sure I said that wrong, actually has 5 different recipes to make the one thing. So you have to make the crust, then you have to make the chocolate cupcake, then you have to make the filling, then you have to make the buttercream, then you have to make the chocolate topping. So that's 5 different things. So I say, like for a beginner, this might not be the best book. It can seem like very overwhelming. My tip number 2 would be to take things very slowly, do things step by step, and try and go as slowly as you can. So a lot of times, especially if I'm making an item to give to somebody, I will do it in steps. So for example, on day 1, I'll make, so for example, these I started making them today. I did not finish. So I made the blondie this morning, which is like the base for the bar, and then the buttercream I colored, and I put that on, and then you have to leave that on, and then I will complete it and do the drizzle and the sprinkles tomorrow morning. So everything I do in steps. You don't have to do it all in one day. If you try and do it and you aren't used to doing a complex recipe, so let's say that you do bake sometimes, but more simple things, and you want to try and push yourself, this might seem like overwhelming, but it really isn't. Go very slowly. And step 3, do things in stages. You don't have to do things all on the same day. So you can make the cake one day. If I'm making a cake, I typically will do it over a 2 or 3 day span. So I'll make the cake on one day, let it cool, put it in the fridge. Best piece of advice, tip number 4, if you're making a cake, bake the cake one day, let it cool completely to room temperature in the pan. Put the pans in the fridge covered with like plastic wrap. Then the next day you'll be able to take it out of the pan super easy. It'll also be a lot easier to level it, to ice it, everything like that. So definitely do things in stages. It'll also be a lot more peaceful and less stressful. One thing that I have found with myself, that yes, I do love baking, but when I'm trying to do everything on the same day, I feel like I'm rushing myself, and then I lose steps, and then I lose where I'm going, and then I get very stressed out. And that is the exact opposite purpose of why I like baking. So I definitely like to give myself a lot of time to make sure I do things correctly and go slowly. And you will also find it, if you are just getting into a lot of baking, you'll also find it a lot more calming and just a better experience for you if you do things slowly and in stages. They're cotton candy recipes of everything so far that I've made. I've made a few things cotton candy because I personally love cotton candy. They have been so good, just amazing. There is also a marshmallow recipe that I have tried from this that was so great. And they're macaroon shells. So I made some macaroons. Trying to find which one that I made. I think I maybe just made the simple one. I made salted caramel macaroons. These, which I made the caramel myself. If you haven't made caramel yourself, you definitely should. It is amazing, homemade. These were so good. The caramel specifically was amazing. What I love about the book is that it has recipes and things you can do, such as macaroons, cupcakes, cakes, but it has a lot of smaller recipes that are really staples, that are great things to know, and really a great thing to have as a base that you can build your own profiles as well. So part of why I love cookbooks is when it gives you something that you can use as a base and build for yourself. You really want to use recipes and cookbooks as a baseline so you can learn different things and then experiment for yourself. That is part of the joy of cooking and baking, is just figuring out different things for yourself. At the back of the book is basically like a base profile. For example, salted caramel, which is amazing, and even just that recipe alone, I would have bought the book, is how good that it is. It was so good. And for example, vanilla buttercream. So it has a lot of base recipes at the back that are a great thing for baking, especially for a book like this, because you can make a complex recipe or you can make your own thing using the base recipes. And I think that was very important and very good. The vanilla buttercream is amazing. The recipe is very easy. A lot of people like Italian meringue buttercream. I've tried to make it a few times. I mean, it's all right, just not my personal favorite. I'm still trying to find a recipe that I like, because a lot of people really love it so much. So I'm trying to figure out a recipe that I really like that I can stick with. But in the meantime, vanilla buttercream is my personal way to go. Definitely fifth tip I think I am on. I've lost count. Is that definitely read your recipe, read it in advance to know if you need something at room temperature. You can leave your butter out overnight if you need to. If you're making a buttercream, for example, you definitely want your butter soft. It'll make it a lot easier to mix it. And the best way to get a really good buttercream, and one that is really white, a lot of people will be like, how did you get it so white? For buttercream, you want to whip the butter for a really long time, like really, really long. And if you whip it for a really long time, obviously most butters are yellow, it will become white because it will become very airy, and it also gives you the best buttercream if you whip it for a long time. So for example, she says to whip it for 30 seconds and then increase the speed to high and whip it for 2 minutes. I would say at least 5 minutes, if not 10 minutes, depending on your mixer. And the last tip I will say is that if you are interested in baking, if you like baking, that you definitely need a mixer if you do not have one. If you don't have a stand mixer, get a stand mixer. Got one, changed my whole baking experience. It's amazing. It's amazingly easy, and especially if you are a beginner starting to, trying to do more baking and advance to the next level, a mixer will make things a lot easier for you to learn and to really grow. Basically making the cookie recipe for the stuffed cookies, truly you put everything in a mixer in different stages. Obviously you do wet, eggs, dry, that kind of thing. You do it in a certain pattern, but you do basically just put it all together in the mixer, put it all in the mixer mixes it, put it on a cookie sheet. It's very easy. So if you are trying to bake and do more complex recipes, definitely get a stand mixer because it will make things a lot easier for you. In general, I will say that this book is definitely a book that every baker would need. It is amazing. It is very helpful. It has a lot of detail in it, and it will definitely up your baking game in a lot of ways. So that is everything. I definitely feel like I want to do more of these and hopefully do maybe some bake with me, some cooking with me videos. I wanted to do a cooking with me baking something from this book. However, that just didn't happen today. I had my niece here. There was a lot going on, so that just wasn't an option. But hopefully I can later, at least in the future, because I really do love baking, and so I just want to bring some of that joy of baking and cooking onto you and give you some advice if you need it. Thank you very much for watching. Definitely like the video if you like it, and subscribe to the channel if you would like to see more. Comment below if there's any books that you would like to see or that you really like and that has really helped you. And I will see you in the next one. Thank you very much and have a good day.